Wunderbar. That's wonderful in German, in case you didn't know.
Didn't you see? I sent you an email yesterday in German.
Das ist sehr gut, yeah.
Asked you to translate it because you're so good at German. Did you not get it?
Man, I probably did not. I probably did, but didn't.
It says we are.
Get it. If that makes sense. Awesome.
As in get it physically or get it mentally.
Well, das ist sehr gut, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get going. Hey, everybody. Welcome to One with Coach Blu. And
Marissa.
Should be two on how many, huh? Because there's you and I. It shouldn't just be me. That's kind of narcissistic, isn't it?
I was thinking that. No, I'm not always here. And it started with just you.
Nice. Well, you are the brains behind the organization.
Questions for me most of the time. I just have lots of things I like to say. So
we like your input. That's why. Hello, listeners, viewers, and all those in between. Welcome to the live show we do each week. Talk about addiction recovery, substance use disorders, mental health, trauma, the happenings, current events.
Yeah.
Have you noticed? You know why we do that? What? Because yours truly is a licensed mental health therapist and addictions counselor. And you, I've heard, are a certified recreational therapist.
Yes, I am.
So between the two of us,
professionals, mental health.
Yeah, we know something, right?
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for downloading, sharing, and subscribing to the podcast. We appreciate it greatly. There are others for you to be aware of. The Agents of Recovery podcast every Friday. It's a great resource. Good insight there with Max Hall, former NFL quarterback, former BYU quarterback, most winning BYU quarterback in history.
Who struggled with addiction and mental health and is now doing phenomenal and giving back.
Absolutely. And Brock Bevel, former undercover law enforcement.
Yeah.
These guys, great insight. So really there's a plethora.
Lots of good information we have here. And then we have just our regular podcast that we do every Monday with different individuals and professionals sharing recovery stories. Please check. In fact,
just today, I've started a series that will launch every Wednesday until we complete the subject, and that is the pornography pandemic. Did you listen to that one yet? There was a listener advisory at the beginning, because this is one you want to make sure you listen to first before you download and let anybody else listen to, because the subject matter is very sensitive.
Yeah.
And so, but it's taking a deeper dive into the constructs, the situations revolving around pornography addiction. And as you know, this is one of those things that I've had to do some further education on, because I know, substance abuse inside and out. But pornography addiction was something very different for me. I'm like, wow, does it follow the same mechanisms, the same models, the same predictions? And it does. Yeah. It absolutely does. But there's a lot more variation of
that's true.
Things to overcome and situational things. And because it is such a delicate subject and has the potential to absolutely uproot relationships, sensitivity needs to definitely be applied there. So go check that out. It's out now. Patreon subscribers, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. If you want to help support Team Addict Athlete and get the access to the extracurricular recovery playbook that's launching 2, sometimes 3 bonus episodes a week.
Yeah.
Jump on patreon.com/addictathlete. Pick a tier that works for you guys. It's awesome. I want to thank everybody that's been doing so.
Another easy way that you can help support our podcast is by leaving us a review. It really helps other listeners. People learn about the podcast. So please, if you've been listening, and I know there's a lot of you out there, I just would greatly appreciate just, a minute to get on there and leave us a review.
It does help. It helps immensely because it helps structure the algorithm so that the podcast can be projected out there further and we can reach more people. So please jump on, leave us a review. We are on every platform, it seems.
Yep.
So
I think we are.
And it's picking up. So thank you all. So Marissa, today, last night you and I bumped into a Hulu series. Is it Hulu? Is that what it is?
Yes, it is. And it's one I've been wanting to watch for a while.
Yeah.
So.
And as you know, from previous experiences with Coach Blu and Marissa here, we are not big fans of Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family and the things that they've done that has instigated massive addiction, massive overdose rates from a pill that we were lied about. And the whole construct now is kind of coming forward. And they've done a what do you call it? Like a documentary slash mini series, right? But it's in the perspective of the people involved. And my gosh, as bad as we knew this was, now we're getting a little bit more familiarized with the pills on the ground, so to speak. And after October, what was it, of last year, when Purdue finally settled for an $8 billion settlement that cleared them from all responsibility.
Well, that officially, I think it was the end of August, just this year, that they have now been, waived. I don't know what's the term. It just infuriates me.
Let's dive into it a little bit. So Purdue Pharma is an American privately held pharmaceutical company. Privately held means that it's the family themselves that hold every position on the board, which is, in my eyes, strike number one. Yeah. And we're going to get into that. And now it says, because this is update on Wikipedia, that it was previously owned, right? Yeah. Respectfully owned by the members of the Sackler family, descendants of Raymond Sackler. So they ended up doing one of the largest payouts ever for a pharmaceutical line of pain medication. Yeah. As you all know, OxyContin, right? Yep. And they lied through their teeth to get this out there, mislabeling it and doing things that would land any other street drug dealer in prison for life.
They manipulated getting FDA approval, changing the class 2 medication, controlled substance, everything. Yeah.
So, Purdue continued to market this opiate, beginning about 1996 all the way up through, now, and lied through their teeth. And you guys, the depth of which this goes, I think it's shocking. And we're talking about like payouts to government officials and things of that nature to get this stuff pushed through that goes to the highest level of our political leadership. Yeah. Well, and which is disturbing as hell. It's
all of the checks and balances that are supposed to keep this kind of stuff safe and to keep the public,
like the gentleman from the FDA who approved the label that explained that they believe that it, can be used.
Specific special coding wording.
Yep. That it could be a good long-term solution. And because they use that little word in there, they push this through, and it shouldn't have. And it absolutely shouldn't have.
Addictive.
But you got to understand that money rules everything. And if you ever want to find the solution to an issue, find where the money goes. Yep. And so I would love to know, and I think that more research needs to happen. And damn it, there needs to be a hell of a lot more accountability than what's been out there. This is ridiculous because as it started, you had an epiphany too, that even your mother was a result of
a victim
of this issue. Yeah. As were so many
who passed away almost 4 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah. So on October 21st of 2020, it was reported that Purdue had reached a settlement potentially worth $8.3 billion, admitting that it knowingly and intentionally conspired and agreed with others to aid and abide the doctors by dispensing this medication without a legitimate medical purpose. So Sackler family also will be needing to pay $225 million to other companies and resources and things of that nature.
There's also like little to nothing to them.
Exactly.
That's what's frustrating.
In March of 2021, which we were talking about, the U.S. House of Representatives introduced a bill that would stop the bankruptcy judge in the case from gathering members of the Sackler family against them. So they would basically have legal immunity. Yeah. That to me makes absolutely zero effing sense.
0 cents.
0 cents. And as Americans, as people, as humans, we should be so outraged at this, and we should be demanding resignations at this point. Yeah. These people willingly and knowingly killed hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well, I remember, learning about this years ago, but then also, one of the first deep dives I took on it was watching the documentary The Pharmacist on Netflix, and we did a podcast on that and learning a little bit more about it. And I still thought, you know what, but the pharmacists, doctors, they know it's an opiate. They know this. They should have known better. And I mean, not that I forgive the Sackler family at all.
No.
But then to watch this new series on Hulu, Dope Sick, and seeing the manipulative ways that they went around to market and to, you know, they send out like psychological profiles of doctors. They started at the first cities that were already prescribing Loratab.
What is a pharmaceutical rep? What do they do?
They just sell.
They're car salesmen.
Yeah. They are not doctors.
Nope.
They are not pharmacists. They are not scientists. They are not researchers. They are salesmen. And what are salesmen? To me, most salesmen, lying, deceitful. Yeah. I don't like.
Do you remember that salesman we had when we were searching for wedding rings?
Yes, I do.
It's the best story. I need to segue this.
Yeah, please.
This is pretty much the pharmaceutical reps, okay, salesman. When Marissa and I were making plans to get married, we went
looking at rings,
all kinds of ring stores, and the funniest one was over by the University Mall, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was hilarious. And we go walking in, and this guy comes and approaches us immediately. He's like, "Oh man, I can tell you two are in love."
Oh, you look like yourself.
And we're like, how did you know?
Oh.
Like, how could you tell?
And instantly I know the guy is just full of it and just kissing our butt.
Yeah.
But I think most people walk in situations like that and think, oh, yes, we are, and are just taken aback.
He liked us so much that he says, you know what, special attention.
Yeah.
You know.
I want to take these guys. Let's go into my office. I'm going to take you guys separately. You don't need to talk to these salesmen here. Let's go.
These guys
back
are losers. Let me help you. So we go back into his office. And he said, tell me about yourself. And so we talk about ourselves for a minute. He's just like, man, I could tell this was going to work. He's like, you know what? Hold on for a second. And he gets on his phone and he punches something and he says, hey, this is, salesman so-and-so. I've got this couple down here, man. They are in love. What's the best deal we can give them?
Really, we need to give them a better deal than anyone else.
And he's like, okay, just a second. And he hangs up and he talks to us a minute. He's like, okay. Calls this guy back again, right? Same scenario.
Yeah.
And he's like, so what did we come up with? And as he's talking on the phone, lo and behold, his phone starts to ring.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's on.
Wait a minute. He's talking to his boss or whoever, getting us the deal of the century, and his phone rings through. And the panic in his eyes of like, oh, shiz, as he slams it down, looks at us, picks it up, and it's like, oh, I'll call you right back. Like, oh, I can't believe how that worked.
I don't know what's wrong with my phone.
Full of crap, man.
Lying,
he wasn't even talking to his boss. He was just like placating the whole thing. And we both said, thanks very much. And we walked out of there. It was like, you idiot. Like, how dumb are you? But that's the concept of what these pharmaceutical reps did with OxyContin. Yeah. They would go in there and schmooze and buy receptionists, pedicures and flowers. And
for doctors that didn't want to see them, they would do anything and everything to get in there. And again, it does start with the Sacklers. The Sacklers were like, you put every amount of money into this because they had spent millions on the research of this drug. And if they didn't get it to work, Richard Sackler specifically, it would have put in the company right under.
Absolutely.
And so he was willing to sacrifice anything and everything to lie, steal, cheat to make this medication work, or he would have, his company, his family, everything, him personally would have just gone under.
And it's been documented that this was the case and that they manipulated and lied. And yet, even though they paid are paying one of the biggest, sellout, compensating. And we'll talk about that.
So much more.
And they knew this, you guys. How much does $8 billion put a price tag on a family member?
Lives. Yeah.
And I'm still thinking, this makes zero sense. I'm so pissed at this.
Well,
and we're cool with it. Everybody that's listening to this, we're cool with it. You know why? Because we did nothing.
Yeah.
It was hidden. It was it was under the radar. We're so pissed. We go to Washington. We do all these things, but the Sackler family, those folks, they didn't get to see the people that we were working with. They didn't get to see the people in my groups. They didn't get to see the people that we've lost. As long as they're cashing checks, they don't give a damn.
Yeah. Well, we're not. I mean, I know a lot of the story, but we're not even halfway through this documentary series.
But here's the situation, okay? And I want you guys to listen to this. This is the OxyContin came onto the market in 1996, and really was kind of promoted to all the doctors as a a way that doctors could prescribe medication for moderate pain, in addition to severe pain.
Yeah, because all opiates in the past have been used for severe pain, like really acute, long-term or severe pain.
The sales reps would go to the doctor's offices and they would sit there and they'd say, we want you to do this. And even doctors back then were like, I don't know. We want to, be cautious with this. And they're like, look, this OxyContin, this is different. This is a delayed absorption as provided by OxyContin tablets is believed to reduce the abuse liability of the drug.
Yep. Because it
had Are you kidding me? Because
delayed reaction. They had this chemical reaction. So instead of a great high in euphoria that it would, most released. Opiates, it was time released. It was slower. And because it was a slower opiate like that all of a sudden it just magically becomes non-addictive.
So as they went into these situations and convinced doctors to prescribe it, the patients, they loved it. It worked. It absolutely worked. It did its trick. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that
they didn't tell them that it was stronger than morphine, that it was stronger than these other medications as well.
Absolutely. And that the absorption rate's very different. And so guess what happened? A 12-hour pill started only lasting between 9 and 10 hours.
Or less.
Yeah. And then they came up with this brand new word.
Yeah.
It's called breakthrough pain.
We'll call it breakthrough pain.
For people that experience breakthrough pain, all you have to do to get this is double it.
Yeah.
If you're taking 20 milligrams, just double it.
Go to 40.
And they're like, well, this is so rare. And it's this new term.
Well, and
pain
again,
management clinics know it. It's breakthrough pain.
They had already presented that only less than 1% of the population that took this medication was addicted and became addicted. Well, guess what? They made that number up. That was a fake statistic. They had not done any research on that. Some of the newer commercials for it, selling it, they had lied to the people that were in the commercial saying that they were just doing a PSA, like public service announcement on pain management, nothing for OxyContin, nothing for any of that. And then they had the, advertising company relabel all the things that they said right below these people. And they're, sharing about how wonderful and it's changed their life.
And that wasn't the case at all. And so what happened? You started seeing pain clinics and pain management and all these things where doctors were getting major kickbacks and stuff. And some of them utilized this as their ticket to the high life. Others, took a different approach. Now, here's the thing that made me more aware is that because we were in the dark quite a bit about where this was coming from, mm-hmm. and there are some poor ones out there, but we completely channeled all this responsibility to the doctor themselves. The doctors were lied to.
Yeah.
The ones that figured out that they could become rich, by helping the Sackler family's empire grow, mm-hmm. they're the ones that we really need to look at through lenses and be like, what the hell were you guys thinking? Because there's many. In fact, in the documentary, The Pharmacist that Marissa was talking about, there was a pharmacist locally that this man was investigating that had thousands of patients. Yeah. And it was, you'd walk in, you'd fill out paperwork, you go back, get your script, move on. It was
that doctor.
It was a pill generator, and these popped up all over, everywhere. And it was $500 down. Come do this, moving on, you guys. And it's
you don't even need to see the doctor next month. Just come pay us more money, and we'll give you the script.
Within 4 or 5 years, you started seeing extreme addiction. You started seeing overdose rates.
Some of these signs, some mm-hmm. of the overdose rates. They started seeing DCFS cases on the rise.
Child abandonment.
Jails filling up within, I think, 3 years, mm-hmm. early, 1999, very early on.
I remember in 2000 watching an MTV documentary on OxyContin and how bad it was. And guess what? They just kept on going. It took researchers and it took some government, I guess, involvement from FBI and a few.
They still had a lot of people on the back end catching it and discouraging anyone from bringing any kind of lawsuit.
When the federal, investigators started getting involved, they started bumping into roadblocks because guess what? Our state legislators, the people that also wanted to become rich off of big pharma, mm-hmm. they didn't want to be investigated because that would have hit their pocketbook. And so they were instructed by very high people and high levels of government to abandon it, discourage any further investigations. You tell me how this makes any sense, because a kid selling a bag of weed on the corner would have a bigger jail sentence than a doctor over prescribing this medication or a pharmaceutical company pushing it as if it were safe.
Yeah.
If this doesn't twist people's guts, we are a lost society.
Yeah.
We completely are.
It's heartbreaking.
Even now, as recent as 2015, when they knew damn well how bad this stuff was, they were still doing research to be able to prescribe this to children.
Yeah.
Are you flipping kidding me?
And to people for headaches, not even
severe chronic pain. Because here's the deal: people with legitimate chronic pain, we're talking about cancer patients, people with terminal illness, they rely on this stuff.
Yeah.
But when you get the person who has a headache and goes and gets a prescription for OxyContin, becomes addicted, and they need to get their fix. I noticed this early on in my career in addiction recovery, is that people would be prescribed OxyContin, and when they couldn't afford it anymore, guess what they would go to? Heroin.
Yep, because it got too hard to get. It was too expensive, insurance. So
the Sackler family is directly responsible for the opiate epidemic. 110%.
And as you can see, anywhere you drive now, on every billboard, in every hospital, in every doctor's office, now you see signs everywhere of, watch for addiction. And that, guess what? You can start showing signs of dependency within 3 to 7 days of using this. And this is something they just said was just not, it didn't happen.
Knew this.
Yes.
It wasn't like a discovery. They knew this. They lied to all of us.
So much money into the development of and research of this medication. They had to sell it to keep their company afloat. So they did whatever they could to sell it.
So I want to go over the timeline so you guys can understand and maybe get into a little bit more in depth in this as you're watching this. And I highly recommend you guys go watch this, because, now comes the what the hell factor, meaning there's not a lot we can do because people in higher positions have kind of freed them from responsibility, but we better damn well make sure that none of them rear their ugly head to try and, in the sake of saving lives, poke their heads back into this, because they also want to now create a medication to help. To help with the opiate epidemic.
And I started researching this a few months ago, because I had heard that, yes, now they were being sued for this, but now that they were all of a sudden coming up with different kinds of development on buprenorphine and Suboxone to be able to help with the treatment of the opiate. So they create the epidemic, and now they're going to make millions and millions upon healing it. And remember, I researched everywhere.
This is real life, you guys. This is not just like a sci-fi situation. This is real life.
Really difficult to find out who manufactures the Suboxone, the buprenorphine, the Sublocade, and some of the other new treatments out there for MAT and opiate addiction. You can't not find who it is, because they're still being shady, and it unnerves me.
And you know what, Marissa, you are absolutely spot on. And part of this too is I'm gonna share this with them. I'm gonna jump on for you guys watching. We'll speak this so that the people who aren't watching can hear this too. But we'll go over the timeline with you guys and take a very deep look at what they did.
We have Asia on giving amazing comments too about her experience. She is our treasurer from the Uinta County chapter, about working in a pharmacy in 1998.
And you know what it was?
Some of this was going on.
I'll be honest with you guys. It was a majority of the pharmacists that started noticing this. They started saying, hey, why is this? I mean, that's what the pharmacist came up with. He's like, why, is this happening? And they're the ones that started to kind of raise a little bit of a flag to it. All right, we're going to jump on this little timeline here. I'm going to show you guys a little something here. So we're going to, for the sake of time, I'm going to skip a little bit of this. I'm going to come down here to where it really kind of matters. And that's right here, 1996, where Purdue Pharma launches OxyContin. Yeah. Within a year, we started seeing, FDA examiner Curtis Wright, who oversaw the approval of OxyContin, leave the agency because they started seeing some problems. And guess what happened? The man who said, green light, use that awesome label, guess where he went to work?
Purdue Pharma
for $400,000 a year salary.
So even doctors that go, they question Purdue, they question the Sackler family, then they all of a sudden get this green light that the FDA has approved it. And it has been a proven organization to really catch some of these issues. All of a sudden, doctors let down their guard in allowing some of this stuff to come through a little bit more, thinking, okay, well, the FDA knows that maybe this is a different development of the opioid. No.
In 1998, Purdue Pharma distributed this promotional video. This is what Marissa was talking about, that I got my life back, to thousands of doctors showing patients who say OxyContin improved their life. Only there was something kind of funny about this, wasn't there?
Yeah. They never said the name of the drug
They never used the name of the drug.
They always said the medication, the pill.
It was probably one of the most interesting things.
Oh no, that's not showing you. There we go.
I can hear this.
Day was hell. I mean, I couldn't enjoy nothing, but now I can enjoy myself. That's what he said. Wonderful. I look at the future the same way a young guy, 25, 30-year-old would.
Now, again, they're not talking about like OxyContin specifically.
The biggest problem was he would sleep a lot. And I mean,
and that's when
he slept.
Family
he
members
at the
showing
point
some of the
where, he
destruction.
Could be sitting in here talking like I'm talking and fall right off sleep while he was talking.
You guys, it goes on. Okay. In 1999, Richard Sackler, the mastermind behind the promotion of OxyContin, becomes president.
And he's making so much money.
This man is the devil himself right here. And again, how they weaseled out of legit prison time only reflects the amount of money they had in their bank account
to pay off other people on the other
side. Now, I want to jump into this in a future episode too, but I really want to know where that's going. Yeah. Who benefits from $8 billion? Where is it? Where's it going?
They're paying?
Yeah.
It's going to grants. I'm sure most of it.
If it's going to grants to throw up billboards to say, recognize the signs, we are in deep trouble because guess what? Those don't work. We're living in a world right now, and I need you guys to also understand this, that until we stop thinking that we're bringing awareness to a situation that we're very aware of, we are going to be spinning our wheels. I see all kinds of efforts and promotions and pushes to, again, throw out like little soft squishy balls into crowds that say, just say no, and all these things. They'll throw some signs on the freeway, throw some stickers on a bus, hand out a few things at a football game. It doesn't work. Have we not noticed?
Yeah, it gives some education. It gives some education to
I get why we want to do it.
Portion of the population.
I get why we want to do it, but I'll be honest with you. And I'm not dinging anybody at a local level, but I know there's an initiative right now in the county I live in. Okay. My kids have zero idea what that is. The kids they go to school with, because I ask, have you guys seen this? Have you heard this? They have no clue. In fact, I would love to know, anybody watching this right now, listen to this. Do you know what our stance is right now on substance abuse with family prevention?
Education with some of the grant money.
We're not doing enough. And the thing is we, you know why? Is because we are scared to death that if we start really making change, we might have to ruffle some feathers. We might have to hold people like this Sackler family accountable for more than just money so we can throw up some billboards.
Well, I also believe that's the easy answer for this grant money.
Absolutely.
You've got to pay people to sit behind these desks and write these surveys and do this research and get paid to do this job. And what's the easiest for them to do? Is it going to be interacting with the public or interacting with the individuals who are struggling with addiction? Or is it going to be throw up a billboard, give them a building spot and say, hey, yeah, come here. We'll give you some pamphlets and we'll give you what's the pill destruction stuff that you can take home and some Narcan. That's
in early 2005, the early 2000s, we start seeing incidents of overdose and drug-related deaths begin to rise due to OxyContin, according to the FDA. The number of people who admitted using OxyContin for non-medical purpose, they accelerate, right? Dramatically increase from 400,000 in 1999 to 1.9 million in 2002.
Huge.
Then up to 2.8 million in 2003. Because the money here, right? Yeah. Then in February, right, 2000, U.S. attorney, she drafts a letter, says, hey, state physicians, warning physicians about this drug. Yeah. And they start bringing some testimony to the judicial committee to say, hey, we got to look at this a little bit more closely. And Purdue Pharma executives in September 2000, that same year, they surpass and generate off the sale of OxyContin $1 billion in sales. Yep. Of course, they're too big now. Of course, none of these people will be able to see time behind bars. With that kind of economy, that is more than some, some countries, national revenue.
And then they start donating to all the places that have follow-up or any checks and balances so that then they'll keep their mouth shut.
In 2001, FDA officials meet with Purdue Pharma to discuss the abuse of the drug, right? And then they start marketing its 160 milligram Oxycontin pill because it went from 20,
10, 20, and 40.
And then 80
for the breakthrough pain. And then,
meanwhile,
now all of a sudden they're giving out 160.
Meanwhile, people are dropping like flies and they're like, let's make it stronger.
Yeah, that's how you get the pain, right? And we all just need to take care of pain, and we've got to do pain management. And
remember what it said, the people admitting that they're using it for non-medical purposes at this point. Mm-hmm. Okay. So then in spring of 2001, the DEA initiates the OxyContin National Action Plan. This is the craziest thing. Okay. They create a whole national plan to deal with a medication. It's the first time in history that they developed a plan to target a brand specific controlled substance. I want to know why they were so untouchable. I need to know why the Sackler family was so untouchable.
It's money.
But who's protecting them? Who's protecting them?
They have enough people with the money to have enough connections.
Oh my gosh. It makes me sick. July 2001. They do a new black box warning. So with that awesome label that says, this is totally fine, you don't have to worry about it at all. Guess what? Now they're like, addiction. But who looks at it at that point?
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, the damage is done now. Yep. Okay. Let's go through here a little bit. Let's get back in here because about 2000, I'm going to skip way back up here because about 2007-ish, right? Now we start looking at like, we better start doing something. I'm going to rewind just a smidge. Okay. 2005 is about the time I started entering into the world of addiction recovery. And this is where I started seeing like
more of it at work.
More of it at work. I remember when I was going through doing a SUDC back in 2001, right? I remember hearing a Mothers Against Drunk Driving lecture. And the guy said, there's a rule of thirds. Everybody that struggles with addiction, either A, will get the help they need and they'll be fine. 2, they'll be in and out of jails. They'll be in and out of treatment, therapy, counseling for the rest of their lives. Or 3rd, they'll die.
Yeah.
I laughed at that. I thought, baloney. I didn't know anybody had died yet.
Yeah.
Literally within months after that, we started noticing people passing away. We started having significant loss. By 2010, we were losing people weekly.
Yeah.
Weekly. I remember I remember our very first athlete that passed away. Mm-hmm. Heroin.
Yeah.
Otherwise constituted. Guess what started it all?
OxyContin.
You guys. Here it all is. Now, in 2003, the FDA issues a warning letter to Purdue Pharma for its misleading ads about OxyContin. Guys, 1996 to 2003.
It's too late.
We're way behind the curve now.
Everywhere.
Okay. 2005, a few years later, after receiving calls from Purdue lawyer, right? The Deputy Attorney General, James Comey, he calls, Brownie, who's another investigator, and says, hey, how about you go back to Virginia and just do your case? How about you don't really poke around here anymore? How about you just kind of push away?
Leave this alone.
The Deputy Attorney General, you guys, said, how about we don't look at this?
Yeah.
You shitting me? Ridiculous. Are you kidding me? 2005.
It's ridiculous.
Meanwhile, on the ground level, the country that this man supposedly loves, they're dropping like flies. May 2007, right? Investigation ends in a plea agreement. I love the plea agreements. We didn't know. Well, we had no idea.
We understand what we did was inappropriate and we'll pay you a bunch of money and that's all you really want.
We had no idea. Meanwhile, if you remember, 2015, 10 years later, they're starting to market this to kids. Oh, bloody hell. 2010. Okay. The FDA approves a new formula. And I remember this too. They were saying that they were trying to say that they were making an OxyContin pill, that time release thing. And guess what people found out? That if you crush the pill, guess what happens?
What?
It all comes out at once. And it's a hell of a high. So then they're like, we're going to reformulate this and make it so that when oxygen hits it, it's not going to work anymore.
When it gets crushed.
Yeah, right. Well, there's a will, there's a way, right? So then, as we find out that they've got this new little thing, for the first time, like Purdue Pharma files bankruptcy. This begins to put them under some some protection. Right.
And look at this, like
Facing.
even this timeline goes from 2010 to 2019. Nothing happened. They just continued
for almost a decade.
Forward.
For almost a decade.
Yes, where people started to see issues and push stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the deal. Between 2010, when I first started seeing heavy overdose rates, okay, to 2019, this was right smack dab in the middle of it. People were dying by the thousands, by the droves. In 2014, I was in St. George, Utah. I got a message coming through that said we were losing 144 people every day.
Yeah.
I was up on a plateau in St. George. I said, we got to do something about this. I put for the 144 initiative. I said, hey guys, we got to be careful with this. You guys, 144. Now, do you guys remember where we're at today? Remember? 255 for everybody.
Yeah. For all of it.
For all of it.
And I think it's like 70% or more opiates.
Absolutely. So for a decade, they did nothing. They did nothing.
Well, because people that were fighting and trying to do it were just shut down.
Yeah, because look at this. Finally, in 2019, they filed for bankruptcy, which puts them under protection, right?
Yeah. And again, this is the organization. This is the business. This isn't the Sackler family who has even more droves of money and who can continue to do more later. You know, they have all the protection under the business laws, and
they're facing 3,000 lawsuits. 3,000. Okay. October 2020. This is where it all kind of comes to a head. Ending a long federal investigation. Purdue Pharma finally pleads guilty to criminal charges related to marketing of OxyContin, defrauding federal health agencies, paying illegal kickbacks to physicians, according to the Times, right? Which you should probably read. And they face penalties of $8.3 billion, the largest imposed pharmaceutical manufacturing payout in history. Members of the Sackler family also agreed to pay $225 million in civil penalties.
A small fraction
of their
13 billion net worth.
And none of them faced jail time.
Yeah.
2021. This is recent. This is
pay
August.
Money. We don't need to do anything else.
In August. Okay.
Yep, August.
And they say Richard Sackler told the court that neither Purdue nor the Sacklers were responsible for the opiate epidemic. Then who the hell was?
Yeah.
Because this is the biggest gaslighting thing I've ever heard in my life. And if you guys believe this stuff, you're insane. This is one of the biggest gaslighting things I've ever heard in my life. They're not responsible for it. So then who created it? Who marketed it? Who told their representatives to go out and lie? Who gathered all this information?
And put this medication out there. There are billboards and ads and everything saying it's not addictive, that it's,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? So in September, a federal judge approves Purdue's bankruptcy reorganization plan, okay, which would resolve thousands of lawsuits, which sucks because once that happens, those 3,000 lawsuits, gone.
Yeah.
Those 3,000 lawsuits, I'm sure, were representing people that family members that died. And they're just like, done. You think any of those family members are going to see the 8.3 billion? Not at all. But they also said that they got to be a way they would not be, subject to any kind of criminal.
Yeah, because now it says at the end that now they're going to dissolve Purdue and shift the assets to a new company, quote, owned by a trust run to combat the opioid epidemic. And have the Sacklers contribute $4.5 billion. Yeah, and I
guess who's going to be rowing that ship? Garen F. and Teed. Yeah, it's all
so they're going to make more money there.
And because we live in a day and age where this is a blip on the radar, a year from now, it'll be like this never happened.
Yeah.
And
there's something new going on. And
this is disgusting.
Yeah.
Richard Sackler, that when you go across and meet that maker of yours, you have a hell of a lot of explaining to do. You've annihilated millions. You've created
and not just individuals, but families, generations.
You created generations of issues. Yeah. I've told you guys about this, and I'm going to keep saying it so that when it comes out, I'll be like, I told you. These people that overdose and die typically leave kids behind.
Yeah.
And these kids are being raised by non-traditional family systems. And guess what happens to the opiate orphans, as they've been coined?
Yeah.
If you think we have a problem now, you wait till these guys get older and they have a a hell of a time trying to know how to love
issues
and to
with
invest.
attachment, issues with trust.
This goes way beyond just overdose deaths.
And it's not, and I'm not saying that the families that are picking up the pieces and taking care of these kids are doing a poor job. Many of them are not. But there is something to be said for a, mom and dad and staying together and living this life, and kids not believing or thinking that mom chose drugs over them. There's 1,000,001 questions that all of a sudden pop into their head about, I'm not worth it. I'm not loved. I'm not,
Yeah. The thing that's been kicked around as we're watching this, and I know it's probably discussions they've had, is that they wanted to be the saviors of pain, right? They wanted to be the ones that cured pain. You can't cure pain.
Yeah.
Pain has to exist for a specific reason.
Pain is there for a reason. Yes, there's some pain that is so severe. There's something that needs to be done. But again, just taking away the pain, we have talked about this over and over, doesn't mean that the issue is gone. Pain is just a sign that something's wrong. So if you just take away pain, it doesn't fix the ligament. It doesn't fix the broken bone. It doesn't fix,
cure the heel.
Yeah. The herniated disc in your back. It doesn't fix that. So if you don't fix the problem, then you're going to have a bigger problem.
And the sad thing about this too is that the people that legitimately need pain medication for specific reasons are now treated as if they're addicts too.
Yeah.
So it's like they go in to get their medication. They have to jump through all these hoops and all this other stuff because they're like, well, now they're treated as if they are drug seeking. We've created a monster, and the monster itself is getting away scot-free.
Yeah.
Absolutely free. And what do we do about it? Well, we can sit and complain about it, right? Well, you guys, we've got to be more aware of this kind of stuff. We've got to be able to stand up for the people that don't, have the voice or don't have the ability to.
Yeah. And if you're in a situation, you can share, educate people. That's what we try to do, this education piece, so that people know and understand, so that when you know better, you do better. Sometimes it is even just knowing that you were duped, all of us,
Absolutely.
And
the thing that sucks too is I'd love to say, well, I think most of the time when you see people in this kind of experience, their endeavor is to do good. I don't know if that's true here.
Yeah.
I really don't think they were doing anything good. I really don't, because if they were, they wouldn't have lied about it.
Richard Sackler was saving his butt because he had put all this money into this new medication. And if he didn't sell it, he was going under. It was a family stress of everyone saying, what did you do? You spent our money poorly. It was a financial stress. It was a business, a family. It was everything. And so he was just trying to survive, and trying to survive killed millions of people.
And creating all kinds of waves and effects. Nonetheless, I wanted to share this with you guys today, just for the simple concept of we've got to be more aware of what's going on, that when we have, a pandemic or an epidemic such as the opiate crisis, that we're not sitting here with our fingers in our ears thinking, I don't know what's going on. We did know what was going on. And
I think this is important for us. I am not a conspiracy theorist.
There's no conspiracy here. It's pretty plain.
But it is documented. There is so much information about this everywhere. It is plain as day, but it's also a reminder that when you go to your physician, when you go to the doctor and you seek help, that you understand, you learn about the medication you're taking, that you are self-aware enough that when you're taking a medication, you're seeing how it's reacting with yourself, that you raise your right arm and you say, wait, this is a little weird, or this works too well, or I'm feeling this. And you say something then. In watching it, yes, it's easy to say it's the Sacklers. It goes to, sadly, it does start there, but then it goes to so many different arenas. It goes to doctors who maybe kept pushing it when they know they shouldn't, when they saw that their patients were becoming addicted, when they saw some of the signs. It goes to the patient who is begging, I have to go to work. I can't miss work. I need this medication. Mm-hmm. It comes down in the long run to each and every one of us.
Absolutely. And, I remember 2009, when I was back in Florida at a training, I went for a run and I ran past this building on my way. Mm-hmm. And it was a brown brick building, no windows, no nothing, just a solid box. And there was a line around the corner. And I remember thinking, that's weird. What is that place?
Yeah.
I got back and asked about it. Oh, that's a pain clinic. People come from all over, from Louisiana, from Alabama to come to this pain clinic. Holy piss. It's been on the radar for a while, but you're right, Marissa. There's a lot of variations of this.
And there were missteps everywhere. Lots of people, like Asia's saying too, there are doctors that were being given cash and rewards and cars and fancy vacations. If you're being paid off for something, like, where is some integrity here? People need to know and understand that this really comes down to each of us. How do we stop big, giant problems like this? It's by being educated, and we make good decisions for ourselves and help our families, so that this kind of thing doesn't happen, that we follow like our personal values and core, the things that are important to us.
Absolutely. It seems to be mindful of, for sure. And, we'll be wary, so that when now their cure for the opiate epidemic comes forward, we'll know who's selling it, and we'll go to someone that has a little bit more, I think, maybe high priority in their mind's eye. We didn't get to too many questions, but maybe it's good we don't, because I'm a little bit heated.
Serious topic.
We are in episode number 2, and I know there's more hell to come. So jump on there, watch it. You should. Every person that's had an experience with this should watch this and be frustrated that in the dark of night, these guys weaseled their way out.
And we were all manipulated, really. How can we better? How can we each be better at seeing,
the writing on the wall?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The evil that's around us sometimes.
Because really, if you think about it, you guys, it's up to us to turn the mess into the message.